watching you sit there, smile, laugh, and shake your head like
murdering her own daughter.
Why isn't Ethan Couch behind bars?
While courtrooms are typically expected to be formal and serious environments, people can still sometimes create drama during their trials, especially if it's a teenage trial. So here are the 5 most dramatic courtroom moments with teenagers. The 5th dramatic moment is the affluenza case. In 2013, 16-year-old Ethan Couch killed 4 people while drunk driving in Texas. During the trial, the defense presented evidence that Couch suffered from affluenza, a term used to describe the psychological impact of growing up in a wealthy household, and his upbringing was the reason for him that left him not being able to understand the consequence of his actions. The world believes that his sentence was too lenient and that his wealthy parents could have possibly helped him out. This case gave light to the unequal treatment of the rich and poor in the courts. He was sentenced to probation and rehabilitation. Can a 2-year sentence be equal to the life of 4 people he killed? Next up is the fatal rock throwing case. Kyle Anger was one of the teenagers charged in the fatal rock throwing incident. In October 2017, 5 teenagers were seen throwing large rocks and other objects from an overpass on I-75 in Genesee County, Michigan, killing 32-year-old Kenneth White. Even though the defendants showed remorse in court, the judge read out their Snapchat texts, which revealed that the action was done purposefully, and they shared heartless and horrible messages on Snapchat even after they'd learned that they'd killed somebody. The text said, "Lay low for a while and everything will be fine. LOL and LMAO. The judge then rejected their proposal for juvenile sentencing and shall be taken for trial. The judge ultimately sentenced him to 39 to 60 years in prison. At number 3, we have the trial of Casey Anthony. In 2011, a young mother was accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. The prosecution argued that Casey had suffocated Kaylee with duct tape and then disposed of her body in a wooded area near their home. George Anthony, Casey's father, attempted suicide after learning of his granddaughter's death. Casey, throughout the trial, had her emotions up her sleeves, but in this one instance, she was seen laughing, unable to control her laughter during her daughter's murder trial. In the end, the dramatic testimony and evidence presented during the trial did not result in a guilty verdict for Casey Anthony. What do you think? Was the mother not guilty? But then, why would she laugh during her own daughter's trial? Next up is another disturbing case, the Slenderman stabbing case. In 2014, 2 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin were accused of stabbing their friend multiple times to please the fictional character Slenderman by luring her into the woods and stabbing her 19 times. The victim, Peyton Leutner, survived the attack by crawling out of the woods to get help and spent 6 days in the hospital recovering from her injuries. During the trial, the accused girls, Anissa Weier and Morgan Gieser, claimed that they believed the Slender Man was real and he had threatened them and their families. The prosecution argued that the girls were fully aware of their actions and presented evidence showing that they had planned the attack for months and researched ways to kill their victim. Both girls had emotional outbreaks, and Anissa Weier eventually collapsed and halted the trial, while Morgan Gieser was caught dancing in the police room during the interrogation. The girls did not show much remorse for their actions during the trial and were not responsible for their actions due to mental illness and shared delusions. They were pleaded guilty to attempted homicide and sentenced to long-term psychiatric care and prison time. Was the victim served justice? And finally, the last one on this list is the murder of Ann Arbor student Jordan Klee, an 18-year-old Ann Arbor high school student who was killed in a drug-related robbery in 2016. Dante Wright, who was then 16 years old, showed no remorse throughout the trial. He was smiling during the sentencing. The judge asked the prosecutor to throw out the sentence agreement and take the case to trial. There was a long recess for this due to the 16-year-old's behavior. To his luck, Jordan's family decided to not take the trial, and his lawyer then apologized on the defendant's behalf. What do you think about these cases?